Hello, welcome to the show. Jacquelene Close-Moore. You're on Psychic A1R Psychic Radio and also Moon TV. I'm coming to you via from my Melbourne office, and I thought I'd give you the view from reception today. So this is the view outside my building. So there you go. Today I wanted to speak about, I've had quite a few different things going on in the last 2 weeks with people asking questions of me, and one of them was about hexes, and the other one was about psychotic episodes versus psychic. What's the difference? I might start with psychotic episodes versus psychic. So visions of a psychic, usually when psychics get visions, they tend to not be blown out of proportion. It tends to be more real life, everyday, almost boring. Well, it doesn't turn out to be boring, does it? But we tend to go straight away after having a vision like that to, and then we'll go, vision, or accounting, or going to the office, going to my job. I'm going to do it maybe down the street who's screaming at something, who knows. So when you're kind of dealing with psychic visions, it's more of a feeling. People get, like, we talk about 5 senses, so touch, sight, taste, feel, and sense of smell. So sense of taste is an interesting one because a lot of people haven't been aware of that for a long time, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. But sense of taste is, you're walking in somewhere and like this, and you can't, on a logical level, smell what's been cooking, but you might be copying what's been cooking from an energetic level, and it's sort of like either, I've got to avoid that, or this is actually quite good. So if I'm at a wedding, it's always really interesting because you're standing out in the foyer minding your own business. There's not actually a menu in front of you, and I'll be going, big thin blanket, bols, what all the different hors d'oeuvres are that are happening. And I'll also be talking about, stay away from this dish. It's not going to work because, it might not be good that day. So you could have a lot of very upset stomachs afterwards before eating it. But, what are you going to do? So, you sort of get that feeling about food ahead of time. That's one thing. You can also get, when you're, like if I'm doing a reading with someone, I can actually go, wow, lasagna. And it's like, yeah, my dad loved lasagna. And I go, yeah, I tasting zucchini in it. Like, what's that about? Yeah, you put zucchini in it. And you're like, okay, I don't put zucchini in mine, but you don't like lasagna. Usually, I might have it twice a year, but this dude's having it every week. It's here on Sunday. And I'm like, okay, that's psychic. It's stuff that can be later on confirmed. Tends to be about mundane stuff like lasagna, or one client, her Passover father came in the room and I could smell salvia. And boy, that was palpable. Sure enough, that's how he smelled. Because he would wear his same flannel shirt and he'd not wash it terribly much. So salvia, not the most pleasant of aromas. I mean, spirit usually loves to give you lovely fragrance. It's lily of the valley or something, don't they? I get all those sorts of ones as well. Whereas with the sort of psychotic vision, it's much more like 1,000 spiders running in front of you, or there's suddenly mice across the street, and it's like, they're not there. Although one guy once at the train station down the country town he used to live in, he used to go down to the train station and he would stand there and he would be announcing, when the train's coming, or sort of thing. And he didn't work there. He just had a mental illness. However, he used to be walking along and he'd be talking to someone. And this is the first time I saw him. And I'm like, God, there's someone who's actually talking to someone. Whoa. Like, okay, yeah, he's got a mental illness. He's also seeing this dude. And I actually saw the uniform and everything. And I researched back the uniform of people who used to work on the rail lines in country towns in that part of Victoria, and sure enough, that was actually the uniform from like 100 years ago, right? So this guy's walking down, yes, and the bloke's answering him, and I'm like, so, that's where the visions of the psychic versus the person who might be having a psychotic episode, that's where there can be a little bit of an overlap. But some of the other stuff he was saying was just, there's no one there. There was really no one there. But sometimes he was actually, from my view, seeing someone and I didn't know what uniforms they wore 100 years ago. I'm just seeing the student, I'm going, oh, research, I was talking to that guy. Okay, fair enough. So with a psychic, we're going to tend to look for proof. Whereas with psychotic break, it's much more of a sense of, I saw it, so it must be real. And it can start off with something really small, like that's the actual vision in the psychotic break. And then more gets woven onto the story. And that can be through, mental distortion. So there tends to be distorted visions. And I think the thing is, with people suffering mental illness, is to make it sure you're not putting stigma on them. To really understand that there's a lot going on for them. And with some people, there's sort of stimuli that can be kind of, setting you off as well. So there tends to be more and more wrapped around that vision until it snowballs into something that's really out there. And that's where, there's various things that can help with that, and it can be a multi-pronged approach from lifestyle to, dietary habits to medication to natural therapies that complement whatever's going on here, not as an alternative necessarily. Whereas with a psychic, we'll get maybe a big vision and we go, and we'll reduce that and go, nah, right, that's in the back of my head. I don't pay much attention to this. I've got a lot of other stuff to do. And then next thing, boom, it happens in front of us. It's like, okay. And then we go, oh, and it's sort of about, whoa. So that for us can be like the big experience is it coming true. Whereas for someone with psychotic break, they just can't tell reality. So if you're trying to work out whether, you're psychic or whether you're having some issues with your mental health, I think the first thing to do is to really work on grounding yourself, focus yourself in the earthly, everyday reality, and to rule out things that might be neurologically happening, rule out things that might be happening with perhaps trauma, perhaps other things like that, and also look at, can what I'm seeing or feeling or experience or hearing be confirmed in reality, in real events that happen. So if you're wanting to develop your psychic skills and you're knowing you tend to be quite intuitive and you tend to also be able to hold down your job and hold down social contacts and be able to keep a balanced mental health, then that's where you would journal your experiences of what you're perceiving, write them down, usually left-hand side of the page, write all your experiences down, time, date, location, what you saw, how it happened, left-hand side, right-hand side of the page, leave it blank. And then once these things happen in reality and actually can be confirmed by actual events that happen, you can actually write down, time, date, location, what happened, how that correlates. And then that becomes a book of proof. And then it's a physically existing object that can say, yeah, look, I'm in check. I've got, 70, 80, 90, 100% what I'm getting is happening. So you want to sort of be hitting around at least the 80% after a while. But if you're finding that less and less of what you're picking up is happening, then it's time to really be looking at, things from a more all-rounded vision of looking at what's happening for you. And I think the thing is, with intuition, one of the main balances is you're still able to hold down your job. You're still able to pay your bills. You're still able to remember things, keep things in perspective, and not be triggered into certain reactions that might be out of context. And so it's really important, more important for psychics than most other people to really work on our mental health. And this is where, for example, if you're a psychologist or a counsellor or a psychiatrist, you would have what's called supervision every month. And that's where you would check in with someone and monitor how you're doing, because you're helping other people all the time. How are you debriefing? How are you making sure your level and your balance? Because working as a psychic is actually very involved in the intimate nature of people's well-being. So what's happening in their work, what's happening in their love life, what's happening in their relationships. In some cases, what's happening in their well-being in the sense of, mental acuity even. And while mental health professionals focus specifically on the mental health side, sometimes there's a little bit of an overlap where people want to talk about their emotions, and that's quite natural. But the thing with is that when you're hearing pretty heavy stuff, it's important to go, better check in with me, like, how am I doing? And this is where, for example, I'll actually have supervision that when I actually check in with someone that, reach out. How's he going? How are you going? in my case, this is another person in my field, and we actually debrief each other. So, this is where having a really good, strong connection with someone else who's supportive of you in their field and is also very reality-based, and isn't going way off into really weird conspiracy theories like the world's flat or something, and we can argue about that some other time. And we've got similar values and this sort of thing, and you can just check in on each other, how you're going, and then also maybe if you need to, in a particular period in your life or just ongoing maintenance, that's where maybe having a counsellor, an actually qualified counsellor, can help as well. So these are just things to really think about when you're wanting to develop as a psychic. I'll cover the hex thing on another episode. I've actually had someone ask about that, so I just want you to sort of keep in mind, there's so many aspects when people want to develop their psychic skills. Just goes way beyond simply, looking at, wow, this is a lot of fun, let's work some cards. It's like, okay, what about your psychic protection? What about your mental health protection and well-being? What about your boundaries? How are you dealing with people in your life? So, a bit of psychic hygiene, looking after yourself, and mental health and emotional health hygiene is really important. So it's not just about, your physical hygiene when you go to the shower or the bathroom. It's very much wiping in other areas too, like in your actual energy field. So, just really think about that, and maybe, write down some ideas of your own and sort of expand on that as maybe a subject, how to deal with your well-being on a mental health level when it comes to being a psychic, and what are the parameters here, what makes it normalised for you. And so that's just something I wanted you to have a bit of think about for this week. And in the meantime, I'm really going off for a couple of weeks and doing some stuff I need to do, take care of. I've got a foot injury that's getting looked after. Woo! So I'm doing some pain meds. Yay! But, that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'll be a couple of weeks before I'm coming back. In the meantime, I want you to really rock it out over the next couple of weeks. It's going to take time. If you need to write to me, just have a look at Jacquelene Questmore Live on Facebook. Or you can go to my website, which is jacquelene.com.au. In the meantime, I'm going to wish you the very best for this next week. There are more shows coming up on A1R Psychic Radio, Moon.TV. I'll catch you in the meantime next time around. Okay, have a beautiful day.